Welcome back to another episode of Best Kept Secrets. This is where we share survival stories of hope and survival. And I am Dawn Lede from the Lifehouse Project. And today we have Rochelle Schwartz. She is a life coach and a survivor. And we are so grateful to have her here to share her story with us. Welcome.
Thank you. I am so grateful to be here, Dawn.
Thank you, Rochelle. Um, you told me the story that I'd love to start with. Your story is fascinating, but there's this point where you are in a therapy session doing some deep breathing exercise. Share with us what happened.
Well, it wasn't just the breathing, I've been going for a while. And through the breath work, I got very deep. And what I saw was that, because I'm very, very, very visual. So what I saw was this little girl that was myself in an elevator with her dad. And and then it just happened to flip where I really got to see that I was violated.
Mm,
And I believe I was about either 4 or 5, something like that. And that was just the start, but that was where it actually did start.
mm. And did you tell anyone about this?
No, I told nobody about it until I was much older. And the only one I did tell were both sisters that kind of just didn't, really? You think? Really? You sure? And my mother never knew because I felt that if she ever knew, I would lose her.
Mm.
And so I couldn't do that.
So, how was your childhood? What was it?
Crazy. I had a
Mm,
crazy childhood. It was very dark. It was very disconnected. I didn't have friends in my home. I was ashamed. And I had a father that when he would be around people, either he would shut down or if he didn't like something, he thought he had a sense of humor, but it was really to hurt. That was his sense of humor. And it was I had a pretty hard childhood. Wasn't easy. And parents fought every single morning as long as I can remember living in that house until I was 20 years old. It was constantly fighting, constantly. So I would put my head under the pillow and just block it out, which was kind of difficult.
Yeah. Was there any
And
way that they showed affection, or what was their idea of affection?
the times were so, so different then, Dawn. Was there affection? No. There was such disconnection. But I had a mom who was like, she didn't have courage. And she was always criticized by my dad and always put down and had to have dinner on the table at a certain time and it had to be hot and, all of that. And we had to make sure that when my dad was coming home, because at that time we didn't have air conditioning. And I'm really now aging myself, but we didn't. And so when we knew he was coming, we would have dinner, my sisters and myself. We used to wear half slips and we had to get up when he came in and then leave because he was coming in, the king was coming in. We had to make sure the bathroom was available to him. And it was a very dark time. I basically was out of the house a lot.
Mm.
I more or less with my friends, I go to their homes, but I do not remember having a friend in my home ever.
Yeah, you mentioned that There wasn't the only connection that you seemed to see was that they were sexual.
Yes, yes. And that's, of course, we were originally living in Brooklyn and we were in a one bedroom, I think. So my parents, I was always available to hear. I always listened and I always heard them sexually having intercourse and all that other stuff. Then when we moved out to the island, I heard this, it was the same thing. And so when I met my future husband at 16, got married at 20, I interpreted all of that. That was love. Sex is love.
Mm,
I never had a friendship. So, yeah, it was a lot. It was a
yeah.
lot.
So you went through this like no real affection. And so to you, basically, sex is love. And you also had like it was abuse in the way of like nonverbal abuse, withholding, like your dad would purposefully withhold talking to you and affection.
Yeah. And the only time there was any kind of connection was I could go down and get him cigars, or stuff for his pipe, tobacco, and I could walk on his back because he was always working hard. So, but then what he would say to me after all of this, I'm going to put you in my little black book and I'm going to pay you for doing this. And I never had it. He never came through ever. But I wanted the love so badly, didn't matter. I kept on doing it.
Mm.
And so that was a really pivotal time as well in my life.
Yeah, and so you do enter this relationship with your husband,
Hmm.
and you're equating sex with love, and also buying things. It turned into that buying things meant love as well.
Yes, yes, because it was like it filled me. It filled me. I didn't have anything else that filled me. So if I bought something, it would be, wow, this is really exciting. And I would walk around. I think I remember having a Louis Vuitton bag that was not real, but I felt like I was $1 million, and nobody would knew. I didn't have two pennies to rub together, but I had that Louis Vuitton bag. And so, was always a false thing that I felt, but at the time it still felt better than feeling empty and didn't have tools, didn't have anything. I had a lot of love because I didn't get it. I had a lot of unconditional love for both my daughters.
Yeah, it's amazing how you were able to transfer this need. You mentioned like your mother, you adopted your mother's wound of
Yes.
wanting to be cared of, needing to be cared for.
Yes. That was I carried that for a lot of years of my life, and I thought my husband was gonna be the one. And when you have that and you come from 16, I get married at 20, and it's better to get out of the house, and he's gonna take care of me, and he's gonna be an accountant and all these things, and I went, "Wow, this is gonna be really good." And boy, was I wrong. Oh
Mm,
my lord. And so it was a very hard marriage. I had a lot of things taken away, homes, cars, and electricity.
there was infidelity as well, right?
But that was yes, and yes, yes, and and when you don't have tools and you're not healed, he did his thing, and I found somebody, and what attracted me to this person, it's so unbelievable when I look back, is that he would listen to me.
Mm.
That was it. And I was hooked, because my husband never did. So
Wow.
that
And
was
at this
some
point, you still haven't remembered this violation. This is
no,
just the result
no.
of, in your mind, this nonverbal abuse from your father, then your mother's, needing to be cared for and adopting that. And now you're in this verbal abuse and, infidelity marriage.
Yep,
And so you meet this guy who just listens to you,
yep,
but he's not
yep.
right either.
No, honey, he was so not right. He was so not right. And but it just at that point it didn't matter. And even though at the beginning I felt that he was listening, as time went on, it didn't happen. He just did his thing, and I would just sometimes sit at a phone waiting for a call like I was a teenager because I
Mm.
thought that I meant something to him. But in essence, I meant nothing to myself. And that's what had happened.
Yeah.
And then going deeper into when I started coaching with the Ford Institute, that's when I got to see all the disowned aspects of me
Yeah.
and
You
why
also
I put them
mentioned
in.
that. So you, at some point, you also were trying to fill yourself with food and you had an introduction to Overeaters Anonymous.
Yes,
Tell
yes.
us about that.
And I was still married. I was living in Florida, and then we went back to New York. And I went and I started Overeaters Anonymous, and it was at that time the gray sheet. I don't even know if they still have it, but it was strict. And no matter what my sponsor told me, she could have told me to jump off the bridge. I would have done it because I would sit at night and, they have a 12 step, and I would write my story and I would sit and I would write until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And just to backtrack what I had gotten, how I got to it was because when I heard it while we were living in Florida, I heard this message, this voice say, "You've got to go out and find out who you are." And that's when I went back to New York. That's what happened where I went to Overeaters Anonymous. And it was, I mean, I felt like I wasn't alone anymore. And I had created some very good friendships out of that and still have one like 35 years or something.
Is that when you found journaling as like
Yes.
part of
Yeah.
therapy?
Yeah. And I journaled and I journaled and I still journal always. It's one of the best things someone can do just to release it and get it on paper instead of holding it in.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did.
Wow. This is before you even became a coach?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It sure was. Yeah.
So then we sort of backtracked a little bit, but so you met this other guy. He ended up not being good for
Mhm.
you. But so then you go back to your ex-husband because you
Mhm.
still feel this like I need someone to take care of me.
Mm.
And he's doing better at this point.
Oh, yeah. And so I knew that he always loved me to this day. I just know it. And I think to myself, well, why not? I was a really freaking good wife, and I was always subservient to him. So of course he would come back. I knew it, even though he tried to say he wouldn't. I'll think about it, but I know and he did. And so um, that's when we got back together, and he was doing very well financially. So we bought a townhouse that was on the beach. That was my dream, and it was on a vision board. And I was there for 18 years. He wasn't there all those years, but I did live there. And it was probably one of the best times of my life. I started coaching, I started getting into self-help, and I'd have everybody come over and I'd have just a lot of different things going on. And that was really one of the best years that I can remember having, besides my kids and everything. But that that connection.
Yeah. So did you feel like that was maybe finally you were starting to love yourself in a way that
Yeah, I
represented
definitely,
all the love that you were pouring out onto?
yes, yes, I knew that my biggest thing was to start to love me, and I had to learn how to do that, and it's you would think it's easy, but for me, it wasn't because I was such a giver of love that I didn't know how to take it back for myself, and that has been a tremendous journey, but I was so courageous, I was so committed, there was nothing, nothing, nothing that was gonna stop me.
Where do you think that courage came from? You mentioned that your mom specifically didn't have any courage.
I had so much determination. I guess there was such a yearning of who am I? And I just, when I heard God, I believe for me, God said, you got to go out and find yourself. Don't look back. And I never looked back. I just took it like that was it. And I'm not a religious person, but that resonated with me like you cannot imagine. And it
Mm,
just each step I took, and it wasn't easy, but I kept on going and I had support because that's something that's really important is to have people that do support you. And through the coaching at the Ford Institute, that's where I got a lot of support.
mm. Now, how old were your daughters when you split with your husband?
My youngest, let's see, was about 13, and my oldest was 18.
Mm,
So my youngest was the one who really got the brunt of everything, more or less, because my other daughter was out of the house a lot. Um, so my youngest daughter definitely, definitely, and that's why she came into the same work I did. We both started at the same time.
yeah, and now you actually have a coach together, a mother-daughter
Yes.
duo workshop.
Yeah, we sure do. And we worked through our issues individually, and she worked on hers with her dad, and then with, of course, herself. And I, worked on myself and whoever else my everything that I had to work on. And then just maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, we said, you know what? Let's start working together. And we were told this many years ago, but we weren't ready. We have a phenomenal relationship today. And it all stems from acceptance, it stems from love and forgiveness.
Mm, so good. You
Mm,
mentioned that if you ask your daughters, if we were to ask your daughters what they would say about having you as a mom, what do you know?
One thing I know 100% was that I gave them unconditional love.
Yeah.
That, and I never judged them because I was always judged. When you're overweight and you have learning challenges and they didn't have anything that you could really go by at those times. So you gather up all this information and you start working on you and start really giving yourself that love and acceptance and forgiveness. And when all of that healing starts coming in, you can then give back out so much more because you're feeding yourself. You're nurturing yourself. And those things I do know. Other things I'm not sure, but that, yes.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what you shared with me. I love that so much
Yeah.
because you didn't have that growing up. So,
Mm.
and you didn't really have much of an example of it in your life at
Nope.
all.
Absolutely not. Mm-mm.
So,
Nope.
do you attribute that to your work on yourself? Tell me, or did you just need a place to pour out all of that love? What was your
Well, I poured out all that love when I saw my daughters, when they were born. I had, that's such a deep sense of love for them. And that was a very natural thing for me to do, really.
Mm,
Very, very natural because that love filled me as well. When you
yeah.
give that love and it's a child, you get so filled. And but then after that, I really had to learn what it took to take that love and turn it back into me. And as I did that, my family thought I was very selfish. Not my daughters, but other families, my other family, and I just didn't care. I
Mm,
just didn't care. I had to do what I had to do. And a lot of them, they don't talk to me now, but I just had to take care of myself. And when you change, your family is used to another way and they can't accept it. Unfortunately, there are families that do, but mine could not.
mm,
And I got my power and I got my voice, which I never had.
yeah. What did you use? Sort of, you mentioned to me at some point music and dancing being.
Well, that was another thing. I was about 13. And again, I was a horrible student. I had learning challenges. And so I would come home and I would very quickly do whatever homework I had to do. And I was very good at essays. So I would write a lot so I get extra credit so I can get out of school. And I went and watched American Bandstand. And so when I listened to it, it was the music that would heal me. It just did. And then I think I told you I took a dish towel and I wrapped it around the my refrigerator door, the handle, and I learned how to dance. And so every single day it would come on and I would learn all the steps and then I even learned how to do hair. I was really emulating them. I would learn how to do my makeup and it was like I became submerged into myself.
Mm,
And and music always, always, always healed me. And when I found my voice, it was in the movies, the movie theater, when I heard Barbara Streisand's movie Yentl.
yeah.
And when I heard the song Papa, I Have a Voice Now, that was it. I found my voice. And it was like I couldn't shut up because I had so much. But that's when I found my voice.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I
Yeah.
love too, you talked about dancing with a picture of.
Oh, myself as a little girl.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the work that I was doing with shadow work, and we did a lot of inner child work. And I took a picture of myself as a little girl. I must have been 5, and I had my bonnet on and my coat. And I took her and I looked at her and I played some music that was, to me, resonated with me. And now I'm dating myself. It was Jerry Vale. And I just looked at her, this innocent child that I was so violated, and that what happens when you are abused and you use food as well to abuse you, because that's what I did, I realized I became my own abuser.
Mm,
So when I saw this little girl, I held her to my heart and I just cried because of the emotions that came up for me with her and how she was just so innocent. And so that was a really beautiful pivotal moment for me as well.
mm, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Thank
Such a
you.
good message to share. And for anyone that has gone through this or is, just remembering maybe that they went through something um, traumatizing like this, what would you recommend?
Oh my Lord, I would recommend go for help.
Mm,
You cannot do it alone. You really can't. And you need support, and you need a safe place to fall. And so I believe that when you do go for help, then you create people that will support you. And what I remember someone saying to me, don't let other people know certain things if you don't feel safe. And
Mm,
that stuck with me. So you really want to be careful who you share, whatever it is, because you want to feel safe with them. You don't want to walk away feeling that you were just judged or they'll make, nah, you're crazy. Don't. That's not where you want to go.
mm,
And to get the support, a group. I mean, I did have that. I had all of that. And because when you don't have it with an immediate family, some people are lucky and they do. So you reach out and you go for help and you ask for help. A lot of people have a hard time asking for help. But when you get to a point where you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you get the same result, it's like, okay, now that hurts. Let's look at this. And so I would always, always, always say go for help and go into a support group of people that have experienced things that you have, where you know that you're not alone. And
mm.
that starts to build up a lot of your confidence as well. And then just find the things that you love. You know, life is too short, and why not have a wonderful life and a life that's filled with so much joy and happiness and love and forgiveness, and forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others. Um, I've been very blessed. I worked hard, but if I can do it from what I've experienced, my Lord, you can as well.
That's such a good message. Thank you for sharing that. What would you say to your 5-year-old self now?
Oh God. What I would say to my 5-year-old self now that I know what I know,
Mm,
oh baby, you deserve to have it all.
mm,
You are so absolutely deserving of it all, and you are good enough to have it all.
mm.
And how much love that you have, and how it really comes back to you. But you're so okay the way you are. You're so okay the way you are.
Such a good message for anyone listening, I think. Um, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh my God. Just don't waste time. Time, life is so precious. There's so much help out there. Reach out. Really reach out. People are there. We have the support. So reach your hand and there'll be another hand waiting to hold you. That's
Mm, I love that so much. If you would like to know more about Rochelle Schwartz, and you should definitely check out the mother and daughter duo. They do a dynamic workshop, and you can go to RochelleSchwartz.com to find out when the next one will happen, and also all about her coaching, and to keep for the lookout for her memoirs coming out in the
yeah.
next year or so. So thank you so much, Rochelle. And if you have a story that you would like to share, please do email us at survivors@lifehouseproject.org. We would love to have you on. Also, if you'd like to learn more about what we do at Lifehouse Project, visit us at lifehouseproject.org. And if you can, please like, share, and comment these videos. People need to hear our message. They need to know that there's hope out there and that there are people available to help. Um, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Please join us next week for another story of survival and hope on Best Kept Secrets. Thank you.
Thank you.